Welcome to Your Onion Podcast. Today's show is sponsored by Cards in Qatar. Greeting cards for all occasions, from birthday cards, anniversary cards, thank you cards, congratulation cards, and plenty more. All occasions covered. Check them out on both Instagram and Facebook under the name Cards in Qatar. So today's show is with Mr. Mousab Haddad. He's the Managing Director of INNYX Management Consultants. They're management consultants for startups and SMEs. But this conversation today is very poignant because we touch on surviving this pandemic. So enjoy, especially listen to the end where he's got various pointers to help CEO and owners get through this. Enjoy. So Mousab, with this whole coronavirus, it's shaken every industry up. So how does that affect your business?
It's been tough on us as well. The business has suffered from obviously loss of revenue, and we've been talking to new clients and trying to explore new methods of, reinvigorating our own structure inside the company. So I guess with most organizations, it tends to push you to think outside your comfort zone, outside your current operation and how you do your day-to-day activity.
Yeah, But your expertise is literally looking after companies and sorting themselves out. So it must be a bit strange that you're actually having to look within to cope with the current crisis.
Being someone who helps people in reinventing their own business models is helpful, to be honest, which is something that we need also to use internally. To be honest, things are changing very fast, and to keep up with these type of changes, you need to think on your feet. It's something that everyone has to do, including us. Our typical approach to finding clients or engaging with them or delivering to them the value. How do you do brainstorming when you're on video conferences? How do you actually try to find solutions for production, for example, if you can't visit a factory and look at the process so these type of things are challenges that every business will have to go through, and we are also one of the people that need to look inside and reinvent ourselves. It's something that led us to really great ideas, and I'm actually excited to share with you and how we got even through the process of maybe some people will be helped by this as well.
Oh, absolutely. We'll touch on that later, but I'm just curious because, with this pandemic, it's not about, you're trying to cope with your whole running your business, but then you're trying to cope with the market that is literally on lockdown because everyone else is trying to sort themselves out, and then you've got to deal with your own feelings, your own roller coaster ride, having to deal with a pandemic that we've never experienced before. So that must be a real challenge.
It is actually, to be honest, like any other entrepreneur, I guess, the challenge is figuring out a new business model. So for us in INNYX specifically, we're thinking of changing the way that we handle clients or changing the type of clients that we deal with in general. We're investigating new methodologies, new approaches, even thinking of shifting a bit from, for example, pure consultancy to maybe getting shares inside new organizations in a way that, for example, helps us and helps them evade the current situation and look to more prosperous, long-term solutions, so that we both win at the same time. So it's something that is not really typical. It's not something that is, a usual solution, let's say, but it's something that is needed in this situation because most people feel fearful from what is coming in the future. The lack of visibility, the lack of clarity on how the environment would look like after this is done and when it will be done to begin with, is something that is not comfortable for anyone. And to find solutions around that, it's something that requires a bit of flexibility in your in your business itself, and the way that you handle clients, the way that you interact with them, to make sure that everyone is comfortable in moving forward in a way that doesn't take too much risk into the mix.
Do you think here in the Middle East we're going to be more adept in changing, or is it going to be harder for companies here in the Middle East to adapt?
I think we have a lot of companies that will adapt very nicely because they are still in the fresh and early stages of their development, and their owners are very much switched on. They think about the global environment, they learn from it quickly, they bring that experience into the country very quickly, and they adapt to the changes that happen in local, for example, culture, or how, for example, those global ideas needs to be implemented. So they interact with those type of changes all the time. They're used to this. At the same time, there are some companies that are a bit, I would say, more mature in their processes and their procedures, and they've already structured themselves in a way that is a bit more rigid. So for these companies, change would be harder. You see these pandemics as or like major crisis points in economy, basically as filters. So few companies will go, for sure. Few companies will not survive through this. But most companies that do, they will gain a lot of more flexibility, a lot of more agility in their way of doing business. And if they adapt to this new changing environment, they will be much more successful in the future, obviously. And you have to take into consideration that even if failure happens in an organization, it doesn't need to have permanent damage. It could always be a failed endeavor, and then you can start something new. I see a lot of new ideas that are coming up in the market right now that are mainly targeted towards how the environment looks like after this pandemic is over, and some great ideas, really like invigorating stuff. And these ideas will be something that really fuels the economy in the future. So you're going to see a lot of change in the environment itself, in the business environment specifically.
No, for sure. I just want to know about your backstory. Why did you choose to set up INNYX?
So basically, when I started my career, I started in construction as a young engineer a few years back. But the engineering and construction environment is a very competitive environment. Lots of people, lots of talent. People focused on getting things done in a very classical way, I would say. It's an ancient industry. Imagine people starting from building caves until now. Technology didn't change much, to be honest, but still hard work is required there a lot.
Yeah.
And I grew up in companies that really did great projects in the Middle East, from UAE and Qatar here, in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, across the region. Big organizations, reached the senior levels with them, started working on strategies for them, and so on. And they lack the ability to change quickly with the environment, and it needs to be changed somehow. And I felt like my passion was mainly around trying to innovate, trying to find new ideas, trying to change the status quo in organizations. And it felt like I could do much more by supporting SMEs and entrepreneurs than trying to focus only on the construction industry itself. So it became evident to me that the best approach would be to set up a consulting business where I can focus mainly on helping people in growing and innovating in new business ideas, setting up stuff that are outside the norm. Basically, we like tough problems, challenges, these type of things, not the typical setup that is already known, that is already clear. It's things that lack clarity that we want to be involved in, where we can actually support these type of businesses in making it.
And did you leave your job to start this up? when was the leap of faith to actually go it alone?
Couple of years back in 2017, I actually quit my job and basically started this. And I've been an entrepreneur doing the startup stuff from doing the driver position to the secretary, to the finance guy, to actually giving consultations.
Yeah.
Now we have a bigger team, which is nice. Again, now you can give responsibilities to other people, not do everything yourself, like when you first start. But yes, and it grows slowly. It becomes more exciting. You get exposed to different ideas from clients, which is always something that is very exciting for me. And I see the passion in people. I see how they make it. I see them happy, and so, like once they're succeeded in their endeavor. This is something that really brings me pleasure to see the results, the fruits. Once you have planted the seeds and catered for the plant for a long period of time, it's nice to see results at that.
But is it a viable business, helping startup SMEs? Because generally there isn't much revenue coming in at the beginning. There isn't much capital to play with. So you as a consultant, where do you make your money?
It's a tough question, Stefan, what you're asking me, because to be honest, yes, we do a lot of pro bonos as well. That's for sure. But yeah, the idea is, these people have a lot of passion, and sometimes someone who's it's his first time setting up a business, or it's his first time going through the process of creating like a setup, or managing it in that level where they have to be personally involved in everything. And we understand that at the beginning of any endeavor, it's not easy to recognize value of consultation, value of someone who's coming and telling you really what you need to do, so that you don't make mistakes, you don't waste your time, you don't waste your effort or energy or money even in testing and trying out different things on your own without the experience that those people bring. But at the same time, we're not targeting to be the expensive consultant, the person who comes in and throws the brand at you. This is not really the value that we bring. What we bring is a method of thinking. What we bring is like we try to give them what they need, not that what they ask for per se. So it's not about delivering a checklist. It's about delivering the result at the end of the day. And we feel that our method so far has been giving our clients good results. It's mainly the recognition of value becomes when they see the result, because they feel that the effort that was given, the process that was done, has led to that fruitful end. Is it expensive? No, we try to be very competitive in the market, and it's a very tough market because there's a lot of what is consultants basically that give you generic structures, generic forms, generic business plans and stuff like that, and those things are not really in my opinion at least, not really what a entrepreneur needs if he's tackling a unique problem. If it's something typical, then this is fine, completely fine, and they can get away with using it. But if you're trying to do something unique, you need to think ahead. You need to really study your market properly, make sure you know your clients, make sure you understand their needs and their requirements, so that you can build something that is really useful for them. And this is what we do as well when we provide these consultations. We actually build things for our clients specifically. We give them what they really need, what they really will be using, and people recognize the value of that. So although it's a tough market, but there are few clients that I would be super happy to work with, and they will be recognizing the value that we bring. And this is what keeps us alive in these days.
Yeah, because I think some consultants firms have had a bad rap because they do the format where it is, they do standard. They don't really look into how the company wants to go. They've just got a set format, and they just follow their set format and don't really venture wider than that. And the client doesn't get any value from it at the end of the day. They're just taken on a journey, pay the consultant, and there's no results at the end of it.
They get a stack of paper on the desk at the end of the day. What is called, for example, strategy, something that is not implementable, something that doesn't get communicated well, that
Absolutely.
doesn't get really what the client needs to get from that. No, but I'll be very honest as well with you, because there is a lot of value in the methodologies that are internationally available. So there is a lot of methods and techniques and tools that can be used, that needs to be used to bring structure to things. We don't disregard that. We always take this into consideration. We want to bring that global, experience as well, but make sure that it's customized and tailored for the local market, for the company itself, for the clients that they're targeting. Because otherwise, like a standard template will not mean anything if it's just used for structuring, or like you copy paste from the previous one that you've done or whatever. No, but we see that people recognize that, and they appreciate that it's made for them, and that it's applicable for their business, and that they understand how it was made, so that they can continue to operate with it. They can continue to use it in an effective way in the future. They teach their team how to develop it, how to enhance it, how to continue to innovate in it. The continuation in a strategy that is set up at the beginning is really, really important. Without that, as I said in the beginning, it's just a stack of paper on your desk that you can show to people, but it doesn't get you anywhere.
No, exactly. The question's just gone out of my head. No, that was it. It was basically, do you have people coming to your door and with an idea, or they want to start something up, and you just think, no, that's not going to work? Or don't you turn anyone down?
In general, what I will do is never use my own bias or prejudice before I start the discussion with the client, because obviously when he comes to you with that idea, he has thought about it for a long period of time, right? And he sees something that he might not be able to communicate with you initially very well, but at the same time, you have your own opinions, your own ideas, this is not going to be helpful at that first interaction. So what we generally do is we go in phases. Like, for example, if he has an idea that he's thinking about, we do the one-day assessment of it. So it's a quick, super easy, super light market study with a very high-level analysis of their feasibility, desirability, and viability as a business, right? So it's done in a few hours, right? And you just start communicating with them. You go through a second cycle where you discuss and understand exactly how their idea could materialize, what you got wrong, what you got right, and what could be the potential of that idea. At that stage, there's a decision to be made. Is it something worth spending the amount of time and effort? And I would give my recommendation at that point.
Yeah.
But you need to give that time of assessment. You need to give that, in-depth analysis. One day is still enough to give you deep understanding of the business in a way that you can truly come and say, this is something that is worth investigating into, investing in creating, for example, a feasibility study for it, or a business plan, and seeing whether the results will be something that is really profitable, that you should invest your time and money into it, or no, this is something that not really worth it. There is a lot of competitors that you haven't seen before. There are people that are already doing this in the market. Maybe it was not in your radar at the beginning. The idea is maybe technologically impossible. Maybe it's something that is still too early. Wait a few years and then come back. Maybe technology has caught up by that time. So there are a few things that will warn you not to proceed with it. But in general, it's very healthy to do that initial assessment at the beginning, even internally, by yourself, before you start investing a lot of time and effort into a new idea that you get.
What was your, as you said, you wanted to help SMEs, entrepreneurs. What was your kind of market research in thinking, yes, I can make a difference in this market? Because you say it is a tough market. So why did you think you could succeed?
Because, to be honest, I saw two different segments of consultants that are available in the market. There are people who have excellent education and background and knowledge in the entrepreneurship, let's say, business, that target really big organizations, and they want to make really big projects and achieve really excellent results on a big scale. And they can do that, obviously, because they have the capability, they have the brand behind it, they have the experience, they have the knowledge base, and the history of achieving great results. And there is another segment in the market that caters for people who has requirements by government entities or by certain investors. For example, they will ask you for documentation and they don't know how to prepare the documentation, so they go to the other set of companies where they just ask for those documents specifically, right? Mm-hmm. So it's mainly for documentation purpose, but they don't really get any value of it. So they pay the money, they pay for the service, but they get only papers, not really something useful. And I saw there's a gap, because I mean there is a lot of value that is brought by consultants that truly provide insights, truly provide analytics, truly provide direction and strategy to organization based on experience and previous knowledge, that those entrepreneurs, those small companies, those SMEs are not getting. Absolutely not. And through my market research, I saw that there is no organization in Qatar that does this. There is a lot of companies that claim they do this, but when you truly dig into their business model and what they provide, it would be mainly focused around marketing, or mainly focused around, let's say, graphic design, or like you're going to find them advertising something that is not really what I'm talking about. So I saw that as an opportunity, to be honest, and this is something that I feel is still underserved even in the market as of now. It's to provide value to those people who really don't want to pay the premium of big brand organizations that provide consultation, but at the same time need the value that those people can bring to them.
Yeah. I've been in the country for 14 years, so I've seen how the country has grown. But I've also seen at the beginning there wasn't much SMEs, there wasn't many startups in the market, but I've seen a real big push over the last couple of years for entrepreneurship, startups, and SMEs. How is that? Is it going to be affected by this pandemic? Are we going to go a few steps back, or do you think there's going to be even more of a hunger for entrepreneurs and SMEs in the market?
I think if we think about the pandemic in a deeper sense, so this type of event is changing the environment altogether. By environment, I don't mean only the way that you shake hands with people when you meet them, or the way that you decide whether you want to order out or deliver food to your house, or go out for a restaurant meal. It's changing the way consumers behave on a deeper sense. So their whole cycle of decision making, of how to buy stuff and how to buy and how to go shopping and how to live their life and how to communicate is changing altogether. And that type of change will bring a lot of change to the organizations that operate in these primary, B2C markets, like, for example, the F&B or the hospitality market, or all of these. With that change level, they will have to think of new innovations. I see organizations that support innovation in Qatar, like USDP or QDB or QBIC, for example, moving also rapidly in the sense of providing those opportunities to people who want to think that way, who wants to find new solutions for the new market before the market starts. I was involved in coaching, for example, lately for QBIC in their latest hackathon. Beautiful ideas were discussed, things that are focused on bringing a lot of value to hospitals, to people in need, for example, that will be impacted initially from the pandemic, but also ideas that are long-term sustainable for the changing environment. So basically things that will work a lot better in the future. And the way I see it is that every business has the opportunity now to go and think about what they want to be in the future, because they have the chance now, the opportunity to have that change integrated into their business before the change happened, before competition happens. So they could be market leaders, they could be people who start a new trend, start a new idea, start a new type of business. And it's not difficult, especially if you think about innovation in a way that it's recycling of ideas. People hate that approach, but or they think that innovation is always bringing something completely new out of your mind into real world. But in reality, innovation is mainly trying to find ideas across different industries, mixing them together, finding how they could be applicable in your industry, thinking about what your competition is doing and maybe doing it better. So there is different ways to innovate, and you can always do these brainstorming sessions and come up with great ideas that can be taken into the future.
Is that how you're targeting industries now? Is to give them a helping hand, to say, look, we can help you get out of this, or brainstorm. We can because, as we said at the beginning, it's the fact that you're dealing with the crisis in so many different levels, and the future can look very blurry. Are you going in, or are you reaching out to these companies and saying, look, we can help you. We can help you step out of this?
We are indeed. We've even like, I wouldn't say created, but we're doing this methodology for ideation process. So basically, we're trying to help organizations, especially bigger organizations, in conducting workshops with their teams where they can actually find ideas through brainstorming that are more relevant to their business, and then helping them in the cycle of selecting these ideas, how to filter through the initial stage, what do they need to write. Like, for example, any new idea that you come up with, you should easily write a problem statement, solution statement, and target segment for it. It's like 3 paragraphs that are 100 words each or something like that. And then once you have those ideas that come out of this brainstorming session, for example, which is, let's say, 20 or 30 different possible direction that your company can take, that will be very much tailored with the new environment that comes in the future. Then it becomes a matter of prioritizing, selecting, developing, and how do you really dig into the idea in a way that you can actually generate a lot of value from it, and be able to test it quickly, rapidly, make sure that you pilot it in a proper way without spending too much money, without spending too much effort before you understand whether it's something that can succeed or not in this new market, especially with the uncertainty that is there right now. So I think entrepreneurial orientation, of companies is something that is very much needed nowadays, especially for larger organizations. The ones that I told you is very rigid as of now, because they really need to see things from an entrepreneur's perspective. A person who is willing to change his whole product and overnight just because he sees that there's a new market, new segment, that his old segment was misunderstood, and he's willing to restructure his whole organization in a couple of weeks in order for him to tackle that new market.
Yeah, but that must be really hard for some of these organizations that have been doing the same business year in, year out. They've got all their structures in place, and it's just been ticking on, year after year. Then suddenly this happens. Their knee-jerk reaction is to, cut staff, cut marketing, cut advertising spending, et cetera, et cetera. So to then say you need that entrepreneur mindset and to restructure, etc. And they're probably going, oh, well, this will blow over in a few months.
Right, and then things will come back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. But it won't. Well, it might do for their industry, but...
Yeah, but even for their industry, there is opportunity. That's the nice thing about this type of pandemic, because, I mean, that type of drastic change in the mindset of people, and as we started with our discussion at the beginning, people are not comfortable to go out yet. They're used to the idea of working from home. So what does that mean for your business, working from home? Does it mean that you outsource to people working from home in Spain or in Brazil or in the Philippines? Or does it mean that working from home is still restricted to Qatar? What does that mean for your resources that are available for you. What does it mean for a physical business? What does it mean for retail? People are now ordering all their clothes online, and this is a major change that will happen in a country like Qatar, where it depends on physical retail. And is there ideas that could possibly be done in retail? Absolutely. I mean, you can have customized experiences for people where you tailor the shop to suit them. You can make it appointment based. You can really bring luxury into it. You can bring things that provide people with a lot of value and a lot of experience, new experiences even in the retail business. Is it a ancient industry? Yes, retail has been there for thousands of years. But I mean, can you innovate in it? Absolutely. The question becomes and this is most probably the question on every CEO's mind that would be listening to this, or even staying up at night usually, which is what happens. Right. So there is a balance that he needs to strike, because there is immediate issues that he needs to solve. There is a lot of problems, a lot of cash flow issues, and he's under pressure to take action, right? And he needs to be drastic, he needs to be precise, he needs to make sure that his company survives through this, right? That's the first step, and that's the first one that everyone has on that. And in order for them to be able to achieve this, there is a lot of effort that needs to be put in being financially prudent, in managing your cash and managing your costs and managing your revenue. You need to be a bit more analytical, I would say, because you need to understand how things will move on in the future. You need to do some scenario analysis, I would say, as well. Think about the worst case that could happen, and even think worse than that. Be prepared for that. Hope that it doesn't happen. The watch and see approach is usually not something you wanna do. It's not something you wanna stand by the line and wait for things to blow over without being ready for the worst or the best case scenario. On the positive side, there is opportunities as well. And if you really manage your position for the current environment in a well and organized way, then it's easy enough for you as well to think about the opportunity that this future brings you. So it's really important to think long term and to have that long-term perspective, to make sure that you are trying to understand how the market will change. There is a lot of resources that you can get from the international community. I love, for example, Board of Innovation. They give you these mind maps of future, like they look 50, 70, 100 years in the future, and they give you these crazy ideas, right, that could possibly happen, could possibly not happen. I mean, it's up to you to decipher them and think about them in your own business. They've done one that is very beautiful for the market after COVID-19. I've gone through it. I came up with like 15 different ideas that I can utilize in my own business, right? And these things help you just brainstorm, help you find new things that are relevant to you. And then being on the entrepreneur side, and I'm not saying the whole organization has to become an entrepreneur organization or a startup. What you can do is have a section of your organization dedicated to this. The value that this brings long term is tenfold what you can do with your current operation and what you can optimize in it. Cost cutting is an exercise that people think will serve them well, and it might be necessary in certain situations. You need to think about your cash flow for sure, but you need to also invest in your future. So make sure that you add value where it needs to be. In this type of situation, I strongly believe it's through entrepreneurship and being responsible towards the community that you're serving. The same way businesses are suffering, employees are suffering, people are going out of jobs, you need to support them when you can. You need to make sure that you're giving back to them, because they've given you a lot of their time and effort, and they will recognize this. They will help you across your endeavor to make something great long term in the future as well.
But that could be an issue, can't it? Where the management structure, the management style is quite rigid. It's quite micromanaging, where they haven't empowered the staff before. How do you unravel that if you go into an organization and you're trying to, get that entrepreneurial feel, but the structure is so rigid and the management style is so overbearing?
So in this type of situation, generally what we do is we try to coach the top management of the organization. And by coaching, it's not literally sitting across the table and giving them a speech or providing them with material to read and just. It's to walk their shoes, see how they think, try to understand their inner mechanism of decision making and how they how their experience and their knowledge so far has led them to be in this position of rigidness that is existing. In general, you find that most people have that rigidness because of the belief that a system is optimized, it performs excellently. You need something that is robust. You need something that is continuously, and this is the experience. This is what they've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years now.
Yeah.
And it's been effective because every time you push, you get better results, more cost saving, better performance, better productivity out of your process and your organization, and you get a bit more margin. You get results. You see these results. Your finance team will come and tell you, this year we made 1% increase in our net profits. So excellent. Right? The issue is they've never experienced the other side. So they've never experienced entrepreneurship or startup structure where you're losing heavily a lot of money for a long period of time, and then you flip it over and it makes a lot of money in a very short period of time. Right? That risk and reward level is not something that well-structured organizations see. They don't recognize it. They haven't experienced it before. A good start usually is giving them examples, showing them organizations that are large worldwide, that have taken entrepreneurship odds, that have created these separate entities, right, that have their anonymity, for example, and their full autonomous operation where they can actually function as a startup without the constraints of corporate governance or procedures or policies and 20-year strategies and these type of things. And can really come up with innovative ideas that can actually be implemented and become a main source of revenue and profit for the organization overall in a few years. So once you start showing them this, they start to become more lenient towards hearing the ideas, at least, to invest a little bit in them, to look at them in a different light. And I'm not saying this is something that happens all the time. Few people, no. But few people also listen, also change. They need that fresh blood in their organization. They give it to someone they trust has a nice approach to their thinking. Someone that they feel that is going to help them understand it better and communicate it with them better. And then they do change. They add that section into their organization. I've seen a lot of organizations that have done things that I would not have imagined to be possible. Organizations that deal in, for example, hiring of people that have gone and created platforms of, cross segment trading and cross segment, innovative ideas that allow people to communicate and connect on a different level and provide data transparently and provide a lot of value to customers that initially was not getting anything really. And they consolidate markets and they create businesses that really grow to be much larger than even the starting business that they began with, to be honest.
Very good. So with your own journey, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
It's very difficult to say this, to be honest, but what I think of is most probably not doing what I'm doing now. That's for sure what's going to happen. Because I like to be on the edge. So once this becomes comfortable and once it becomes something that is, day-to-day operational, most probably I'll need to move to something new. What is it? I really don't know. Not making that long of a plan, to be honest with you. 5 years is too long down the line for an entrepreneur to think about.
Very true. Very true. No, that's a brilliant answer. So we started the conversation. You said you had tips or you had something to give.
Right. So what I would like to do is maybe discuss, especially with the latest change that happened day before yesterday. So here in Qatar now we're thinking of opening everything up again, right?
Hmm.
People are positive. People are thinking everything is going to be back to normal. Life will be great. We're going to be able to go and have our shisha and our restaurant experience again, and a good drink. So now, with that in mind, it's important to see how we should focus on how business should operate, right? So, in terms of tips, I would break down the things that people need to think about into five categories, right? Just to give people some lines of thought that they can really focus on. So I think one of the things, and this is maybe something we touched base on, is analyzing your business model basically to understand how things could go right and how things could go wrong. So creating these scenarios is something that I highly recommend all CEOs and business owners do at this point in time. It's important to think positively about what's going on in the future. Think about the relief that your business is going to get and how it's going to be recovering from the last 2-3 months of shutdown and near suspension. But at the same time, to be prudent in the way that you handle the future. So you need to make sure that you're having enough reserves, enough capacity to deal with worst case scenarios. As long as you're capable of handling these things, you're going to be good to go for the future. So ask your finance team to do small amount of forecasting into your P&L. Expect things to be a bit more grim until the fourth quarter, most probably, and then plan for that worst case scenario. Make sure that you start creating the defense, and this is going to be your second point of action. You'll need to be very customer centric. So it's something that needs to be on your mind. You need to think about their behavior and the way that you need to, understand them and understand how they're feeling about the future, how unsure, how unfocused they are right now. The fear that comes with possibly being out of a job, possibly not being able to sustain your lifestyle, the changes in their perception of hygiene, the changes in their perception of communication and how they socially interact with each other. You need to be customer centric or customer focused at this point. And with that in mind, you need to build a defense that allows you to pivot. So basically, you focus on resources that can function in different themes, that can help you with achieving different results, let's say, that can help you with different directions if you choose to go with different directions. These are your core team. These are the people that you need to keep around you. These are the functions that you need to keep around you and maintain. You need to also think about what's the worst case scenario. As we said, what does that mean for my resources? How do I defend against losses or extreme cash demand in these type of situations? And I know this is harsh to say, but you need to think really drastic because if things go wrong, they will go wrong very much. And you need, as a CEO, to be ready to take even the worst decisions in this type of situation. It's not because you're trying to be mean or you're trying to really capitalize on an issue that is available in the market right now and make the best out of it. This is not really what is there. It's mainly survival of the business. Survival of the business means better outcome for the people who stay. Even if certain people need to leave the business, this is something that you need to make as a decision as a CEO. And this is something that is really important to think about in a drastic sense. So most organizations or people will tend to classify their teams into three categories, right? So basically fat, muscle, and bones, if you want to put it that way. And it's really important to think of it in a way that allows you to be flexible in the future. But once that defense is ready, it's really important as well to be transparent in the communication and the way that you tell people about it, because it's not good to demotivate everyone with uncertainty. You need to be clear that we're trying our best, we're doing our best to maintain everyone's job, to maintain the operation, to maintain the future of the company. We're going outside, we're thinking in the future, and we're trying to make new ideas to enhance our business, to create value for our customers, and to build this in a way that can really be successful in the future. But worst case scenario is going to be like this. So you guys need to be ready. You need to think about your future. You need to really work around your personal finances and manage your things around the idea that it might end up happening. So you give them the hope and you give them the understanding of what things will move in the future. Transparency is always more motivating than uncertainty, in my opinion, at least. Having said that, the defense is something that is really important, as we said, to do, but it's not the only thing that you should be doing. So most people focus on this and they stop at this. They don't go for the next steps. And in my opinion, one of the most important things that you should do at this point is play offense as well, right? So you need to go outside and understand what your competitors are doing. You need to look at their approach towards how they handle the situation, because you might be left behind if you're only playing defense, if you're only thinking about maintaining operation in status quo structure. What you need to do is really think about competition, about the change in the market, the change in the environment itself, and start going out there and be the leader in changing that market. Be the person who innovates, who tests new things. People usually think they're right, and this is something that is typical of every human being, because they've been talking to themselves for a very long period of time. So they've had a really good argument, and they're convinced so far. What I would recommend is have that conversation with your customer. So try it out, even with one customer, even with few of them. Just test your idea with them. Just go the cheapest possible way, the easiest possible way, the most simple approach. Just go out there, talk to your customers, find out if they are happy with what you're thinking about. You're gonna always find new information. Do a quick survey, do a brainstorming session with few loyal customers that are willing to give you their 10 cents, and then reflect on that and try to find what could be enhanced in your future product and continue to innovate in that. As long as you're testing quickly and revising quickly, by the time you finish these cycles, you're going to have something amazing that you're going to offer your clients and customers. And it's something that is going to be highly valuable in the future of the organization. The fourth thing that I want to highlight is the protection of your employees and your customers. So you need to make sure that you're understanding what the global environment is looking at right now, and how the recommendations of health and safety for the people and the employees are, and integrate them very well into your organization. So even though, for example, governments are saying, yes, you're free to go back to work, things are fine, you can now go outside as long as you protect yourself, you need to think about the welfare of everyone involved in your organization. So if you've been successful in implementing working from home procedures for 80% of your staff, might as well keep it. You don't really need to ask them to come to the office at this point. You need to really see the value of maintaining a healthy workforce, maintaining the high and contributing to the community in general, to make sure that you're giving back to the community by helping them recover from this pandemic as much as you can. So think about the employees, think about communicating with them transparently, making sure that they understand your thoughts. And if you think that you've communicated enough, then do it 10 more times at least, because that's how much it needs to be communicated, your strategy and vision as a CEO. The last thing is, as we said, innovation. So basically, it's something that is really important, that you think about how these new ideas would be something that is useful for you in the future. Again, getting help in something that you're not familiar with is not something bad. You should always think about it. There is a lot of resources internationally that you can read through a lot of beautiful books, and I can recommend a few here. Like, for example, Disciplined Entrepreneur by MIT. It's a beautiful structure. It gives you like lots of steps that you can really easily understand and go through, and it helps you in understanding the entrepreneurship journey, from taking a product that is an idea, just a thought, that just a problem, and making it something that is multi-billion. So read books, understand the process, try to get information from people who has done it before, seek help from organizations that support entrepreneurship. There's a lot of resources available in Qatar here locally as well. And try to do your first entrepreneurship business in your big organization. This is going to be something that is super exciting, super scary for sure. It's going to be very risky. You might fail multiple times, which is completely fine. This is the nature of this. But once you make it, you're going to see how much value it brings to your organization in the future.
Wow. Superb. Great points. No, these last few months have been like my last 8 or 9 years doing business, all rolled up into a few months. It's the whole roller coaster ride, the whole emotional side, the whole dealing with staff, clients, etc., etc. It's just been, it's just all been squashed into these few months. But those pointers, 100%. So anyone listening, watching this, review, listen again and again to what Mousab has been saying. Is just, that everything that he said you should be doing or you should be looking at. So, thank you, Mousab. We've run out of time. It's been great talking to you.
It's been my pleasure as well, and really thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it, and it's been a very interesting discussion. I hope it brings a lot of value to the people who listen to it as well.
Absolutely. I hope it does. I hope it does. And how do people get hold of you? Where can they find you?
Yes, I'm available in the company 24/7, obviously, and they can reach us through the website. I'm available on LinkedIn as well, so you can just search for me by name. I'm happy to connect with anyone who has any interest in having discussions with me, for sure.
Superb. Well, I wish you all the best as well, and let's catch up with a coffee after all this is over, hopefully.
For sure, it's a must. It's a must. Thank you very much, Stefan, for your time.
Thank you, Mousab. You take care. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll catch up with you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.